Hello and welcome to the final episode of our 90th Academy Awards series. We're going to talk about our basic thoughts overall on the Oscars, not just this year's Oscars, but all Oscars. We will be talking a little bit about this year's Oscars as well. We're going to talk about
because 9 episodes weren't enough for us to talk about the Oscars.
Oh, isn't it terrible? We're going to talk about who we thought should have been nominated for Academy Awards and who we would replace for those Academy Awards. And we're going to talk about categories that should be added to the Academy Awards and who we would have nominated this year for those categories. And then we'll be discussing our top 10 favorite movies of the year, so stay tuned for that. Stella, welcome to another exciting episode of Hashtag Matters.
It's really late.
It is late. Okay, so let's talk about who we would have nominated. Who do you feel? I've got a ton of them.
I don't have very many, so I'll go first.
What category do you want to start with?
Do I have to have a category?
Well, yeah, they get nominated in categories.
I didn't do as much in-depthness as you did because I wasn't aware
Well,
of
who
all
would
the
you have
parameters.
nominated?
There's only really 4 movies that I probably would have added to a couple of these things. Wonder Woman, John Wick, Captain Underpants, and Split. All 4 of those movies I think did really well, and my basis for it is being so enraptured with it that I'm left with a feeling. Feeling either really happy for the character, really sad, feeling unsettled, just being so moved by something that I was able to remember it all these months and maybe a year later. But the reason I don't necessarily run away with them all is because Molly's Game is a stronger movie than Wonder Woman. Molly's Game is about a strong female protagonist who's overcoming greater odds, even though she's obviously a lot more capable than what she's been given and what she's been expected of.
Well, 3 Billboards in that regard too.
Well, 3 Billboards as well, but I mean, Molly's Game didn't get as much recognition as 3 Billboards did. Molly's Game I felt was really strong, and we're looking specifically at the fact that there was a strong female lead. And then you have John Wick 2, which had amazing action sequences. I have English, I promise. But Baby Driver did it better. Baby Driver refined it. John Wick was awesome and amazing, and it had a semi-decent story, but Baby Driver had everything. It ticked all the boxes. Captain Underpants, I think, also was a movie that I do feel was better than Boss Baby. That one should have gotten nominated, and I think it maybe because of its subject it didn't, even though Boss Baby isn't necessarily that much better. Maybe because the Baldwin pulled it through. Who knows? But you also have a movie like Coco. It can't compete with that. Or even Loving Vincent can't compete with that. I do think that Captain Underpants kind of got snubbed only because Boss Baby doesn't deserve to be there. I can't explain how much I don't like Boss Baby, despite the fact that the movie is probably a C+, B-. And then you have Split, which was a great movie. It was a thriller of sorts, and then to see Professor Xavier play this multifaceted character who has to, because of the way the movie is, has to be
Professor Xavier.
James McAvoy, who had to pull out all the stops for everything for this character that he plays as. It was phenomenal. But then in a sense of trying to find your identity in all of this and finding the true self, Blade Runner, I think, beats it out and was a better movie overall. I think I was more moved by Blade Runner and felt I don't know. I felt more. I think I felt I had a whole circle that I went through rather than Split. I felt just disquieted by the whole thing.
M. Night Shyamalan's Triumphant Return.
So, I mean, those are the ones that I probably would have liked to have seen up there, but had better contemporaries.
Well, here's what I've got. So for visual effects, I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming.
I couldn't place that anywhere. I was just like, I like Spider-Man Homecoming, but I don't know what I would get rid of or where I would put it.
And I would replace Star Wars.
Sure, I guess.
They didn't really invent
Star
anything.
Wars.
They did.
But Star Wars had really great scenes.
It did. But as far as visual effects go, I would say that
Spider-Man doesn't necessarily invent anything anyway.
It did. It had to reinvent Spider-Man.
Yeah, but Spider-Man's been around since Tobey Maguire, okay?
Spider-Man?
Yes. Tobey Maguire was doing basically the same moves as Homecoming.
It's a totally different feel.
Vibe and feel. I understand that. I'm not talking about the story. I'm talking about the visuals. You're
Sure.
still swinging around Manhattan.
And if you watched the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie and then you watch this one, even if you watch the Amazing Spider-Man movie and you watch this one, you'll see that the visual effects are on a different level.
Yeah, all 3 times.
It's tough because it's just another Marvel movie in a lot of ways. But I don't know. The Spider-Man suit was cool. I liked watching him climb up and down the Washington Monument. And I think Star Wars, we've seen the same types of things over and over again.
I don't know. I could say either or for that.
Here's one that'll be controversial.
Hater. Kong Skull Island deserved more.
Best song, Captain Underpants theme.
You're a fucking weirdo.
Weird Al
You're such
Yankovic.
a fucking weirdo.
From Captain Underpants.
Stop it.
Stop it. I don't know what you would replace. I guess Call Me By Your Love.
No.
Call Me By Your Name's Mystery of Love.
No.
It's Weird Al.
I don't give a...
Okay, fine. Mighty River.
Your bias...
I don't know.
Your bias is showing
stand up
so
for something?
hard.
I gotta stand up for something. It's Weird Al Yankovic.
Your hard on for Weird Al is so engorged right now, I can't even say anything.
All right, so like I said, that one's controversial.
That one is not controversial. That is just all you and just a passion project that'll never fucking win.
Sure. Okay, makeup and hairstyling. I think it should have been nominated instead of Victoria and Abdul.
Really?
Yeah, Victoria and Abdul.
Because of the clown?
Yeah. I thought that the makeup and hairstyling in that movie was great.
I mean, it's definitely more iconic than Victoria and Abdul just because it is so easy to recreate, and a lot of people did after the movie came out.
Yeah, that
was the new thing. That was a new thing for a hot minute.
It's a cultural phenomenon. We all float down here. How many times do you have to say it in the freaking movie? I said freaking. For those of you, I said it very quickly. I don't cuss. I said freaking.
And now he's emphasizing it just to show you how unhumble he is.
Yeah. But it's, I thought it was a cultural phenomenon. And Victoria and Abdul, there were only 3 nominations in that category, so you could have just added it to the category.
Then you'd have to add 2. Aren't they supposed to be odd numbers?
No, you can do whatever you want. There were 9 nominations for Best Picture.
Yeah, but my point is that everything I've seen so far has had an odd number of nominations. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Short documentary. Obviously, we were not really fans of Traffic Stop, and so...
The best part is we were surprised that we had missed it. We didn't realize we had missed it. Yeah,
we thought it was... We actually liked it when we thought it was... On YouTube, we caught... it was from NPR. I'd heard it. It was from This American Life, and it was a story that was much more compelling, and it was about 2 minutes, I think, and we thought that was it, and then... reading about it, we were like, a woman? So it's an HBO thing. But it was called Traffic Stop and everything. It was the same. Anyway, 116 cameras. I haven't seen it, but it was on the Oscar shortlist. I read the synopsis. It's about Showa's project where they are creating basically three-dimensional holographic images of concentration camp survivors, Holocaust survivors, for children to ask questions, and they answer the questions. And so when they passed on, they could still, including Anne Frank's posthumous stepsister. It just seems like, I haven't seen it, so it's hard to say, but if I had to pick, and I haven't seen a lot of short documentaries this year, I think that would probably be a better choice.
Can I say I found page 2 to my list?
Sure, go ahead.
Really quick, just because you're on Traffic Stop, I don't want to interrupt you for anything else.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't like Traffic Stop, but I did find Number on Great Grandpa's Arm. I liked it just because it's a generational bridge, and the hot term millennial, where millennials have to defend themselves against everything and are getting blamed for a lot of things unfairly. I think it's great to have that generational gap, despite the fact that you have a World War II survivor, Holocaust survivor, and then someone that's not a millennial, someone that's, I think, like 11 in the video. Yeah. It obviously has to be the adult in between that's filming all of this, or at least giving this together, but to have that generational gap come together is really great to me, because it's so easy for us to divide in any way that we can think of.
It's also an HBO documentary, so just as far as HBO documentaries go.
I think that one's leaving soon, though.
Well, anyways, as far as HBO documentaries go, yeah, I do. I think the letter... And So, anyways, something other than Traffic Stop.
Or just not at all.
Documentaries. I just don't feel like Abacus, Small Enough to Jail, and Strong Island made strong enough cases for their subjects, and so I picked Do Not Resist, which is basically what Traffic Stop
tried.
Could have been, kind of. It's interesting. It's a filmmaker, and this is what I was talking about with Netflix and documentaries. So this filmmaker was, it's a well-known filmmaker, and he was doing a documentary about the police in Ferguson because he had relatives that were police officers in Ferguson, and then everything happened. It exploded, and so he was providing commentary for both sides. Yeah, it became a story about the whole Ferguson, hands up, don't shoot, that whole deal, and it was from both sides. And he showed it at a number of film festivals. Netflix showed interest. Other places showed interest, like Amazon and HBO. All these places showed interest. And Netflix showed interest, and they gave an offer, and they said, we're going to recut the film. And he said, you can't recut the film. I made promises to everyone involved. They trusted me. I would be the only person that cut this film. They let me do whatever I wanted, whatever story I felt like needed to be told, because they trusted me. And I'm not going to sell this film to somebody else who's going to butcher that message. And so Netflix withdrew their offer, and everybody else basically lowered their purchase value significantly, which shows the power of Netflix to squash the small filmmaker. And it's great that more people are watching documentaries on Netflix, but they can kill a documentary if it doesn't fit their agenda. And as we saw, a couple of those films, their agenda wasn't a very strong message in this instance. So I would say Do Not Resist instead of Strong Island. Instead of Abacus, I don't know, let's go with a Netflix documentary. Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond. I thought that was a really interesting story about Jim Carrey taking on the role of Andy Kaufman. It's such a bizarre exploration of two artists. And I thought it was just a really good documentary that a lot of people enjoyed this year. As far as animated films, yeah, you got to get rid of The Boss Baby. I'd also get rid of Ferdinand. And I would have nominated Lego Batman and Cars 3 instead.
Can I interject with Paddington 2, which is still sitting at 100?
I just don't think Paddington 2 qualifies as an animated film.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, which is becoming a new aggregate, yes, it does.
Yeah, but it would be. I think it would just have to be nominated for Best Picture. I don't think it would qualify.
It's not a Best Picture quality thing, though.
It's not. Tells you something, doesn't it? Okay, so here's a category that if you listen to the episode about actors, you won't be surprised that we, at least I felt that the best supporting actresses was kind of a weak category.
But it was also weak in film. I couldn't think of one.
I have plenty. So Leslie Manville in Phantom Thread, I thought she was just kind of there. I felt Kristen Scott Thomas in Darkest Hour, playing Winston Churchill's wife, actually played a very similar character and did it better, in my opinion. It was a better written character. I think that Leslie Manville did everything she could with what was written, and that Oscar clip that they showed was great, but Kristen Scott Thomas's Lady Churchill was, I think, a better representation of that. Mary J. Blige in Mudbound, playing a mother. I feel like Holly Hunter played a better mother character in The Big Sick. It was another character that was written very well. Holly Hunter just honestly should have just been nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and it's kind of it's a huge snub that she wasn't, in my opinion. And then Octavia Spencer in The Shape of Water. I don't know if this qualifies as a Best Supporting Actress. It might be a Best Actress category, and in which case I don't believe that she should have been nominated for Best Actress. But Allison Williams in Get Out, who plays the girlfriend in Get Out.
I think she is supporting.
Yeah, if it qualifies as Best Supporting Actress, then she's... Yeah, well, I mean, she probably is the lead actress, to be honest with you, in that movie. But anyway, I thought her performance was nuanced and really interesting. And if it's a supporting role, then could have been a very big snub there.
I do feel like in Greatest Showman, Keala Settle the bearded lady. I think she was kind of snubbed for that role. I think she was able to pull a lot out of that character that probably wasn't even there in the first place.
Yeah.
Because she's the next person that you root for she's really the only sideshow, quote unquote, that you root for.
Well, Tom Thumb is pretty cool.
Yeah, but he's Tom Thumb. Like, that's kind of, oh, okay, cool. But she's the one that actually has personality and spark. And other than the love interest that was there, who was still kind of flat compared to her, I feel like she was kind of snubbed. And I feel like Mary J. Blige just wasn't given enough. She had a moment to sparkle, and it could have gone somewhere, and then it fucking didn't. And it was so disappointing.
Well, I think I read a criticism of the Oscars that said that they should have opened with "This Is Us," "This Is Me," for the whole broadcast, and it was the theme, and it really was rousing. They ended it kind of with that in a way.
I preferred it as an ending because it's such a strong ending. What else are you gonna end on? Remember Me? That's sad. This is not a memoriam.
They could have played that for the memoriam. Although the Tom Petty's on the top floor sung by.
That was beautiful.
I got a room on the top.
But no, I think This Is Me is a better way to button everything because you can't really end it on any of the other songs.
Here's one Best Supporting Actor that I felt like he got snubbed last year, and he got snubbed again this year. The problem is removing anyone. I'd remove Woody Harrelson because it's not really fair to have two people from the same movie competing with one another.
And Woody Harrelson's role was small.
It's kind of a small role. Woody Harrelson should get an Oscar at some point.
It's not about his ability; it's more of the.
But it wasn't the year for it. And Jason Mitchell from Mudbound, he's just really good. He plays the returning soldier, and I really felt like he should have been nominated for Straight Outta Compton. He was amazing as Eazy-E, and so
it was wonderful.
They need to nominate Jason Mitchell at some point, not for Kong Skull Island. It's a terrible movie, and he's not even good in that. But
Jamie Foxx and Baby Driver, I think he was snubbed. I think he was kind of snubbed in the sense that his performance is probably not as strong as the one that you just mentioned, but I think he was able to pull out that crazy just well enough. Like, it's Jamie Foxx. He's really the only person that I think was able to pull off the role the way he did.
John Hamm is really good in that movie.
John Hamm is really good in that movie, but I think Jamie Foxx capitulated it just because he's kind of the villain, you know? And it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to get that. Baby Driver just didn't get the recognition that it needed. But I also kind of understand why, because of Kevin Spacey's involvement, I guess. Who knows?
Now, here's where it gets interesting, because this just really shows my bias against this particular movie. I didn't remove it from every nomination, by the way. The one it won, I did not remove it from that because I didn't...
Oh, good for you.
Well, I didn't see a better adapted screenplay. What's I going to do? It? No, I'm not going to do It. Hater. But Timothée Chalamet, I've talked a lot about how he's a great actor and everything. I just didn't care for the movie Call Me By Your Name. It's like Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. Did not like Monsters Ball at all. Thought it was terrible. She had a brilliant Academy Award worthy performance, and I was really happy when she won. Timothée Chalamet is really good in another movie that I didn't care for, which is just my personal preference. If you liked it, that's fine.
Of course it is. We're not asking for your permission, cis white man.
But it did not smash me in a way. And honestly, this is where I think an actor that deserves nomination after nomination that hasn't gotten one, he will, I'm sure, get a special award at some point. But Andy Serkis for War for the Planet of the Apes, Andy Serkis needs to win an Academy Award. And because he does a certain type of actor and he's the best at it in Hollywood and in the world, he doesn't get nominated.
He also snubbed the very people that brought him up, though. I remember there being some sort of...
What are you talking about?
There was something that had happened between him and motion capture acting. I can't remember what it was. He had said something negative about, or he just alluded to the negativity about it, kind of distancing himself from the visual effects. And I think it's just so that he could try and stand out more as an actor, an independent actor, not just a motion capture actor.
Well, he could win Best Supporting Actor next year for Black Panther for playing a non-motion capture character, but it's another one of those situations. We have a movie this year that won Best Picture, got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actress, and the Best Actor didn't get nominated. I don't think it was Doug Jones's year to get nominated for Best Actor, but because he works behind prosthetics all the time, people don't think about Doug Jones.
So people know that he's talking about.
Yeah, most people don't even know that Doug Jones is the actor that plays all of these great characters. They're watching Star Trek Discovery. They're watching all of these Pan's Labyrinth. They're watching all these movies. They don't know that that's Doug Jones, the Silver Surfer. Which
Well, I will say that is kind of a testament to him as an actor that he's able to differentiate everyone. I mean, he is kind of covered up, so it is a lot harder because we're visual animals.
Well, he's doing a ballet. He's choreographed. He's dancing.
Right, and he uses his body very exquisitely. But we are visual animals, so it's harder for us to recognize. Oh, I see that person's face. I know that face. You know what I mean? We're seeing more prosthetic than face, as opposed to like Gary Oldman's character. But we don't necessarily think about it, so he's so much more diversified in his ability.
Right.
Like I don't see a hint of Silver Surfer in Star Trek or in Shape of Water. I don't see.
Or the eyeball finger guy, or the fawn, he plays two characters in that movie. I mean,
and I would have never known that if I.
He's in Hellboy. He's in so many. Anyway, they're both genre actors that do very specific things, and they need to win Special Academy Awards at least at some point.
Kenneth Branagh. Should have gotten nominated for Murder on the Orient Express.
Murder on the Orient Express would be an excellent one. Who would you remove? Timothée Chalamet?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's a great actor. Great kid.
I think it's only because
he's going to win it for Catcher in the Rye.
Sure. You're really trying to sell that.
He'd be a great Holden Caulfield. That's who he reminded me of watching Lady Bird the whole time. And then watching that, it was like, this guy's Holden Caulfield.
So, lead actress.
I would not. Oh, yeah, I did skip that. I do have somebody. Meryl Streep I'd take out for The Post. She's good in it. But Meryl Streep's always good. It's kind of a given. You're not going to nominate her for Mamma Mia, but she's a great actress.
She loved doing that.
She was great, yeah. But I really felt like when I watched All the Money in the World and I left that movie, I felt like Christopher Plummer and Michelle Williams were going to get nominated. And Michelle Williams playing a very similar role to Meryl Streep in The Post, actually. I thought did more and she was kind of doing a Katharine Hepburn impersonation, but it was so subtle. And she's in a couple of really great movies this year with The Greatest Showman, and she's got some good movies coming out next year. So she's a promising young actress, but not only the role and then her story afterwards, where you found out that she was making scale for the per diem. She was making per diem, and for the reshoots. Michelle Williams, I felt not because of that, but because of her performance, should have been best actress.
Clarify, because you kind of just went through like two different.
Well, when they reshot with Christopher Plummer after they fired
All the Money in the World,
All the Money in the World, after they got rid of Kevin Spacey, she made scale. She didn't even make scale. They gave her per diem. They gave her $80 a day,
which is something they referenced in the Oscars, didn't they?
Yes, and they gave Mark Wahlberg.
Or was it
I think
Spirit
it was
Awards?
$1.5 million.
I think it was the Spirit Awards.
No, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. He said, in his defense, Mark Wahlberg donated the $1.5 million to the Time's Up movement. So now the ball's in your court, Michelle Williams. What are you going to do with that $80? Mm-hmm. Which is a pretty good joke. What are you going to do? Michelle Williams, I thought, should have been nominated for Best Actress. And then this is the other one where Call Me by Your Name is gonna take off. But there were only 9 nominations, so they could have added this as a 10th. So if you really feel like it should have been nominated for Best Picture, don't even have to argue. I believe that Logan should have been nominated for Best Picture alongside those other 9.
Emma Stone, I think, was kind of set off only because she won last year, but I think her role in Battle of the Sexes was really well done.
Oh, yeah. Or Steve Carell for Best Supporting Actor.
Right.
2 very good performances in a movie that was somewhat mediocre.
They pulled it out. I think this is where the strength of the actor helped lift the writing more.
Yeah, Steve Carell is exuberant in it, and Emma Stone.
He's likable. You can't not like him, even though he's a fucking asshole.
And that is a movie about lesbians too.
Lesbian
come
love.
To think of it,
hidden lesbian love.
Yeah. So with a story, shocker. Okay.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
Here are some categories that I think should be added to the Academy Awards.
Just you? I I don't think anything about
Why?
this.
I didn't confer with you beforehand.
Yes, you did.
Did I? Okay, well then here we go.
Asshole.
These are some categories that Stella and
I think this
feel
white cis man gonna freaking. What are you doing right now?
I'm representing myself. All right.
Evidently, fucking bring Britain over here, just commandeering and invading the whole land.
Well, be quiet. Be quiet.
The fuck out
We
of
need
here.
to get this poor Indian man away from the
What
Queen.
do you want from me, colonist?
Why? Yeah. Where's that from?
It was from fucking Black Panther.
Black Panther, that's right. Another broken white boy for me to fix. Okay. Which was a good tip-off for that.
I think the colonist insult is the best insult.
That's pretty good.
That's so great.
So categories that should be added to the Academy Awards. The first one is one that they used to do. They did it until they gave one to Halle... What is her name?
It's not Magnani.
No. Haley...
Joel Osment?
No. She was in The Parent Trap. Not the one that you're thinking of, because you're young. Not the Lindsay Lohan. Haley Mills. Haley Mills was the last person to win the juvenile actor. And they used to give it to all kinds of cool people like Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney, Shirley Temple was the first person to win one. And they were cool because they were small. They were little Academy Awards. So you had big ones and you had little ones. And I think last year was thinking about how they really needed to bring it back because I felt like Jacob Tremblay should have won a Best Juvenile Actor Academy Award for Room. He was amazing. It was the greatest child acting I've ever seen.
I'm going to take this off the road really quick. You're going a lot. I can hear you breathe, and it's kind of distracting. I can tell.
I'm excited.
You're panting super hard into the microphone.
I know.
Back to your regularly scheduled rant of what he thinks is best.
That's to make sure the ladies are listening.
And then you do it again.
Best Juvenile Actor this year would be from The Florida Project with Brooklyn Prince. She's great. And I know you didn't care for the performances there because you said, what did you say? It's something to watch like as birth control?
Something like that. This is what you watch to not want kids. No, and it's mostly because the very beginning of it, when you watch all these like Rugrats running around and just being absolutely fucking
they're
bonkers.
Terrors. They're little terrors.
Exactly. Why would you want that in your life? What do you need that for? You can fucking sit at home, read a book, be calm, just have a really nice, relaxing time, and not have terror in your fucking house.
Yeah, I don't remember what we said about it when we mentioned the Florida Project before because it was just mentioned one time. By the way, we said I, Tanya was only nominated for one award. It was nominated for two. I forgot. But living in the trailer park, that's what it reminded me of. It's like the movie Kids. I could only make it through about a scene and a half of that before I was like, I lived this. I don't need to see it anymore. It's a Gus Van Sant movie. But Brooklyn Prince, when they were making the Florida Project, the director said that he was trying to make a Little Rascals movie. That all of his
he
life
would not
has
let
been,
that go. He brought it up so many times.
He said a lot, which explains it because that's kind of the plot. It's like a bunch of little short bits that happen throughout. There's really not an overarching plot.
Or you're watching several days of this kid's summer.
Right. But he said he was looking for somebody as good as Spanky, and who he thought was the greatest child actor of all time. I say it's Jacob Tremblay or Shirley Temple. But so this is basically a Little Rascals movie without the child abuse. And
really?
Brooklyn.
Really?
Well, there might have been some child abuse. There's a pedophile in the movie, but I don't think that Hal Roach used to take the kids and put them in an ice box to
there's definitely abuse
cool them
in
off when they were. I'm talking about behind the scenes. Although I don't think there was a lot of child abuse in the 90s Little Rascals movie. But Brooklyn Prince shows a wide range of emotions, and she ad-libs some hilarious lines. I would have given her Best Juvenile Actor statue, little one. Oh, the poor doggy. He agrees with me with his boredom.
I think, he's just yawning and messing with the cables, making sounds.
Another actor category that's left out, and we're not going to say, like stunt acting in the sense of, like, doing motion capture or wearing prosthetics, which we've already talked about, but stunt actor, doing actual stunts. And the best stunt actor this year was Jeremy Fry in Baby Driver.
I think choreography would be the best way to
No, because choreography is it's a different thing. Best stunt actor would be Jeremy Fry, who was the driver in Baby Driver. He's the actual driver. Best choreography is a different category, and I have for that Ashley Wallen from The Greatest Showman. Now, I didn't care for all of the choreography in that. When they were doing the circus, they basically just ran around in circles.
See, you did way more research than I did because you didn't fucking tell me what I needed to research.
That's why I said me, and you said, no, both of us were included. I didn't really confer much with you, like I said.
What a jerk.
Ashley Wallen, and really it comes
down... You're trying
to
make us both do this, and then you're making me look like a fool.
It comes down to the bar scene with Hugh Jackman and... Man, I keep blanking on names here. Why do I do that? What's his name?
I don't know.
You
should know this. You researched it.
Oh, my goodness gracious. He's the kid with all the abs.
I know his name. I'm not telling you.
See?
Starts with a Z.
It's Zach Hartnett, right?
Nope.
No, Zach...
He's not even around anymore. That's
Zac Efron.
He's coming out
Zac Efron. When Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron were at the bar, and then the bartender, who I don't know who played the bartender, but that was very well choreographed. I love that. So I would give Ashley Wallen best choreography for The Greatest Showman. And now we will talk about our top 10 favorite movies of the year. But before we do that, I'd like to talk about the top 10 grossing movies of the year, box office wise. So the top 10 well, this is interesting.
It is, but I don't know how you managed to come up with more things to make this longer than it is.
Justice League, number 10, making $227.5 million.
Gross.
Despicable Me 3, number 9, $264.6 million.
Semi-decent.
Thor Ragnarok, $313.2 million.
Semi-decent.
It, $327.5 million. Spider-Man Homecoming, $334.2.
Kind of big leap from the previous three.
Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, $315.8.
Step back down.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, $389.8 million.
Couple steps up.
Wonder Woman, $412.6 million, number 3. Number 2 was Beauty and the Beast, $504 million. And then Star Wars, The Last Jedi, at $619.3 million.
Beaten by Black Panther.
Out of those movies, only 3 of them were nominated for Academy Awards. What's interesting is that it used to be foreign films foreign box office accounted for about a quarter to half of the gross of a movie, and now it accounts for about 70 million or 70% of the money. So it's really changed the way that that movies are made.
That's because we're also most of us are really broke and can't afford to go to the theaters all the time, so we pirate.
So let's start with our 10th favorite movie, Stella. What was your 10th favorite movie of 2017?
Captain Underpants.
Captain Underpants. Not nominated for anything. Your 10th favorite movie. Not in the top 10 grossing. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know. It's difficult because I didn't necessarily make it in any kind of fucking order because, again, I wasn't told to make it.
I said make your top 10 list.
Yeah, you didn't say to actually put them in an order. You just said what would be in your top 10.
I thought that was apparent. But that's okay. Just read me your top 10 then, since you don't have them in a particular order. And then I'll read mine.
You're so mean. You're making me look like an idiot.
I didn't. You'll know for next year. You'll know for next year. And we'll have the same conversation because you'll have forgotten.
Wow, that was so mean and condescending.
I would forget is all I'm saying.
That was just really condescending. Wonder Woman and Molly's Game. I don't even want to do this anymore.
What are your top 10?
I don't want to do this anymore.
So we have Captain Underpants. We have Molly's Game. We have Wonder Woman. What else do you have? Hand me the list.
Yeah, because I don't want to talk anymore. You just made me feel bad. Now I don't want to fucking say anything.
I didn't mean to make you feel bad. Okay. So you have Paddington 2. Oh, no. That's different. Where's your list? I can't read your list. I don't know what... Here, you got to read it because I can't understand it.
Wonder Woman, Molly's Game, John Wick Chapter 2, Baby Driver, Captain Underpants, Coco, Split, Blade Runner, Logan, Get Out, 3 Billboards, Shape of Water, I, Tonya. I mean, really, it's probably more than 10.
Yeah, it was more like a top 13 or 14.
But it came down to what I was talking about in the beginning of the thing, where it's such a toss up that I really liked this movie, but it was trumped by something else. So whatever.
Here are my top 10 favorite movies of the year. So at number 10, I have Blade Runner 2049. Number 9, I have The Shape of Water. 8, I have Logan. 7 is Lady Bird. 6 was Coco. 5, okay, top 5 movies of the year for me. Molly's Game, The Big Sick, I, Tonya, Baby Driver, and the number 1 movie of the year for me was Get Out. Please let us know what your top 10 favorite movies of the year were and why you think that they were better than the ones that we picked. And we're going to go fight about our top 10s now. Because that's what couples do. They bicker. So we'll see you next year, and we'll see you before then, because we're going to do other episodes of Hashtag Matters. So come on back next time to Hashtag Matters, where our topic will be something else.